Well, hello YouTubers, how's it going out there? Hopefully it's going pretty good for you. Well, today's project takes us to this 2001 Dodge Ram. It needs a heater core replaced. Now the issue that we're having here is when they start the vehicle up, turn the heat on in the mornings, especially when it's cold, the windows get all foggy and steamy and it smells like antifreeze. And down here on the bottom you can see there's some green stains there, some blue stains. That is where the antifreeze has been leaking out, and you can probably see it pretty good right there. This is very common on these Dodge Rams, especially the early 2000 models. So we're going to stick a heater core in it today. Now we do have to pull this dash back a little ways, kind of drop it out and get in behind here. This is where the heater core is on this side of the passenger side. It's not too bad of a job if you kind of take your time at it. And of course here is the new heater core. It was about $59, and this has kind of got a swivel type connector here that you got to kind of set the heater down like this, and you got to fish these through the firewall from the inside after we pull the dash back a little ways. So this is what we're going to do today, and hopefully this video will make your life just a little bit easier. So let's get started. So let's go ahead and get our battery disconnected here and hook the hot side. This vehicle does have airbags, so always to be safe than sorry, right? So get that off. Okay, so we're on the passenger side, and what we got to do is go ahead and pop this trim piece off. It does help if you go ahead and loosen this screw up right here. I think you can see this right here at the bottom of the camera, right about there. And then we can grab this piece of plastic and kind of pull it out of the way. There's a clip behind it there. Get this out of the way. The reason we got to take this off is because we have a big screw right here, bolt we have to take out when we pull this dash back. And we got to do the same thing with the driver's side here. Now sometimes these screws can be a little hard to get out, so what I like to do is take a screwdriver like this, and if this screw's rusted out or something, just kind of take a hammer and hit it a couple times. It usually breaks loose pretty easy. And that one is in there pretty tight, so looks like it'll come out. Alright, there it is. Well, that was a tough one to get out. And you'll probably be saying some curse words, so you can see just how rusty those things are. Alright, so we'll get that out of the way. Now we can kind of lift up on this plastic here now. And now we'll go ahead and get this plastic piece here out of the way. Get my hands in there and pop it up. And out it comes. And it's held in by a little retaining clip right there. I think you can see that. What's left of it. Someone's been working on this before. Okay, next thing we gotta do is go ahead and take the little screws out. We gotta take this panel out in the bottom here, because there's some screws behind here that we eventually need to take out. And the gear shift selector. And like I said, someone's been working on this before, because have all different type of screws in here. But at least they come out. So let's pull these out, put this down, get this out of the way. I think you can see that there. Got this out of the way. Okay, now after you get this off, there is a cable right here for your gear selector. Go ahead and pull this off here, because you can end up breaking this. It's kind of fragile. Let's see, maybe I can get it with my fingers. There we go. And you can see it's just kind of hanging there. And one final step, which is really important, go ahead and pull this cable out of the bracket. Just pull down on it, and it should come right out. And I'm doing this with one hand, so bear with me a second. That way, this cable can hang free, and when we drop this dash down, when this steering column comes down, it won't pull on this and break it. And now what we got to do is go ahead and take these two 10mm nuts off below the steering column. And we're going to let our steering column drop down just a little bit. So there's one. And they're usually pretty easy to get off. It's the middle of the day and it's kind of dark out here today, cloudy. We just had a rainstorm, so I'm going to use the flashlight here, and I'll take this one off. And when you're just about ready to take this one out, take your hand and lift up on the steering wheel a little bit. Like this. You can see it moving, and spin this out. And before you drop the steering wheel down, do yourself a favor, get you a cloth, because on this one we got some wires down here, and there's a metal bar here Just stick something in here just so, you know, none of the wires get cut accidentally or chafed on the steering column. And now we'll go ahead and drop this down. And if I grab the camera, you can see. Oops, now we got it down, and we got our cloth here kind of holding that, holding them wires from getting cut or anything in case we have any problems there. I apologize for the bad lighting. But anyway, you get the idea. Now on the bottom here, we have this cover that we have to take off. Let's go ahead and take this cover off. It's held in here by a couple of these little screws. There's one there, and that one's already out. Take this off. Okay, now after we take that cover off, let's take these two bolts out on this guy here. This is your support bracket for part of the dash. One on this side, and there's one on the opposite side. These are long. There's that one. So the other side. Okay, so after we got them bolts out, now come over to the passenger side where the kick panel is, and we got a couple of wires here we got to disconnect. These is the fan for the fan speed switch here. We got to disconnect these real quick. And here's this big one here. We got to push in on this, and this should release that. So that's out of the way. Now on the dash, we have 5 8mm little bolts that we have to take out. And out comes our last one. These are pretty long. And it helps if you have a power tool. I have one, but I was too lazy to bring it out. And there's our last one. Okay, on the passenger side, let's go ahead and take this bolt out, 13mm. And this is the main dash support bracket. I'm going to take this out. Now some guys will leave them partially in and will slide this out and over, but I just for now want to take it completely out. There may be a little tension on this, so just kind of pick up on the dash a little bit and you can see the dash is pretty loose. Let's go to the other side. And now we are on the driver's side. Now let's go ahead and take this one off. And this dash is really loose. And here comes our last bolt. Like I said, you might have to pick up on the dash a little bit to help it get it out like this. And there it is. Okay, as you can see here, check this out. This dash is loose. It's ready to be pulled back. Now what you could do next is plan on how you want this dash to rest. Meaning when you pull it back, you can either set something down here on the floor and let this dash kind of rest on it when you pull it back a little bit, or you can get your ratchet strap and ratchet around the edge of the dash and maybe ratchet up here on this guy right there. And if you do that, That'll work, but if I put a ratchet strap there, it will make it a little harder for me to work over there. I don't want something in the way of me trying to work over there, so I'm just going to simply pull this dash back and let it rest on something here and have access in the back of that heater core. So let's go ahead and pull this back. For me on this model, I find it's easier just put the key back in the ignition, put your foot on the brake and drop this down into gear like this, lower this gear shift down so when you pull this dash back a little bit, when we pull this dash back, it won't hit this gear shift. By putting it down, it will let this dash kind of come up over that, just so you know. Okay, so I'm going to go over there on that side, the passenger side, and we'll pull this dash out and do the best I can. And here goes nothing, and you just want to take your time at it. Lift up and pull out like this. And there we go. I got it out pretty far. I'll take my block of wood, stick it under the dash, and we'll let it rest just like that. And it looks pretty good right there. Okay, there you go. And as you can see, our dash has been pulled back. And right there is our heater core that we're going to be pulling at. And there's a block of wood that I've got under there. Kind of hold that back a little bit. And it looks like we're ready to go ahead and disassemble this. Okay, so what we're going to do is go ahead and take these grounding straps off. These were supposed to keep this heater core from corroding, but apparently it didn't work very well. There's the other screw. Pull this little ground strap and bracket off here. And there is the ground strap that was supposed to make this heater core last forever. If you're familiar with copper pipes in houses, they usually have a ground strap on them to keep it from corroding and getting messed up. But you can see it's been leaking. It's pretty nasty. So on we go. Alright, and to save a little bit of time, I didn't show you how to unhook this heater core hoses. They're pretty simple to do. There's one right here just kind of laying. I hate these clamps because they're really hard sometimes to work with pliers. And the other one is kind of right there, just sitting. I didn't even drain the antifreeze out of this. I mean, there's so little antifreeze that drips out of this heater core. When you unhook it, don't worry about it. Just keep your hoses up kind of high. And there is the hoses coming through the firewall. So now all we have to do is go ahead and pull this heater core out. Oh, and by the way, I did go ahead and unhook a few things here. The breather, and unhooked a few vacuum lines just so it wouldn't break anything, because it makes it a little bit easier to get in here, especially with this truck. Now I'm standing on a stool, of course, but it makes it a little bit easier to get in there. Just so you know, I did unhook some things here. You might want to do the same thing to make your life just a little bit easier. Okay, so the next thing we need to do, as you can see here, take a hacksaw and just simply cut these two tubes off, because there's no way you're getting this heater core out, because those two tubes that go back down into the firewall stick out about 1 inch. There's no way that's coming apart, so just simply go ahead and cut these off. And now we can go ahead and fish all this out of here and get it out of the way. Of course, I'll have to move the camera out. Now what I want to show you here is basically how they go through the firewall, and this is where I cut it. Now, right down here on the bottom, there is this bracket. I loosened this screw up and got it just about all the way loose and realized this thing's already broken. So, this may take a little time. What you'll have to do is get a little screwdriver and get in there and just take this clip in there, because it actually holds these down like that, and these come through the firewall. But mine is broken, so there's really nothing I can do about it. It ain't gonna hurt anything. But there is those lines. Okay, so after going through all that, let's go ahead and get this heater core out. Go ahead and pry up one with a screwdriver, and you can see this thing is pretty much shot. Wow. Yep. Yeah. I can get it out without spilling any more antifreeze. Ooh, okay. There it is. Let's take it out here and look at it. Okay, so there it is. There's the heater core. Man, look at that. I can see why it was probably having a problem. It was leaking right up here. Alright, so that's out. That's how I got this out. Your work may vary a little bit. But other than that, it wasn't for this clip, which was kind of holding this down. It would have been alright, but that's the way it goes sometimes. But like I said, this is not going to hurt anything. So when we put the new heater core in, these lines should slide right through the firewall. Okay, so here is the heater core on this bright sunny day. Sun finally came out. What we're going to do is stick this in there. Now what you can do is start this in here, these little guys here, the end of the tubes. Go ahead and stick them down in there, and this will go in if you kind of do this at an angle, kind of get those going in to the holes to the firewall first, then gently kind of wiggling this down. It will go back in like that. Now I'm gonna have to set my camera up here. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see this because I don't have a lot of room here, but that will go in. You got this plastic foam right here that's kind of in the way, but since it's already cracked and you can push that back, there is a little wiggle room here for those tubes to go through the firewall. So that's how we're going to do that, and it should go in. It's going to be tight. Just take your time at it. Make sure you kind of get these lined up, and this eventually will go in, and you can push this back down into the heating cooling box. Okay, so there you go. As you can see, it's in. And that's pretty much how you can drop that in. If I'd had a little more room here, if I could have got this dash back a little farther, I probably could have done this a little faster. But you can see how tight it is, and we didn't have to cut our lines or anything like some of the other people did. And of course on the outside to the live action cam, you saw the tubes going through the firewall. So really all we have to do at this point is start putting everything back together and put some antifreeze in it, fill it back up a little bit, start it up, and see how it's going to work. So there you go. Hopefully that'll help you out. Okay, the engine's been running about 20 minutes and no leaks. See the firewall there nice and dry. So let's go inside. And there's the heater core. I even got my ground strap back on there, and this thing is smoking hot. Wow. So we have no leaks in here, and I can say this job has been a success. So it's out with the old and with the new heater core that should keep this truck running for quite some time and provide plenty of heat in the winter time. Okay guys, so that's it. That's how you install a heater core on a Dodge Ram. If you like any of my videos, please subscribe and like and all that. And until my next video guys, I will see you later.